Hello YouTube and fellow Star Wars collectors! On this episode of Toys Are the Way, we'll be taking a look at the latest addition to the Vintage Collection's vehicle lineup, the Landspeeder and Deluxe Luke Skywalker Tatooine from Star Wars A New Hope. Welcome back everyone and channel members. So here we have yet again another Vintage Collection delivery because it seems to just want to fall during the fall season and everything is showing up. But here we have the Landspeeder and Luke Skywalker Tatooine, a nice addition to the Vintage Collection. And while we've seen the Landspeeder in the past, it's nice to get an upgrade and bring it to a more definitive modern level. Now, I had the previous version from the Saga Collection, which was later repainted for the Vintage Collection 1.0 version, and that one is okay, but it definitely had a few issues with it, so I'm pretty happy to see a nice upgrade and get this one into the collection. I think it's going to have some benefits to it, especially for my toy photography. But with all that being said and done, don't forget to smash a like on this video, subscribe if you're new, or even become a channel member, and let's take a closer look at the packaging, figure, and vehicle. Taking a look at our vintage style packaging, we have the Star Wars logo and racetrack nicely framing this wonderful toy photography image of the Landspeeder and a number of different figures. We have the Kenner logo down below, making everything look nice and nostalgic, and then we have Landspeeder on a yellow name pill color. We also have an additional call out on the top left, which lets you know there is a Luke Skywalker figure included with this set. On the top of the box, we have the Star Wars and Hildebrandt logo looking absolutely spectacular, and then we have more images showing you what's included in this set, Luke Skywalker and the Landspeeder. On the bottom of the box, we have a bunch of small print, which no one really cares about, but another image showing you everything that's actually included in this set. Once again, you're getting Luke Skywalker, the Landspeeder, and a number of different accessories that can interact with Luke Skywalker. On the side of the box, we have the Star Wars and Hildebrandt logo once again and some nice images showing you all the fine details of this new upgrade for the Vintage Collection. Moving on to the back of the box, we have the Star Wars logo and racetrack once again as it frames some wonderful toy photography that puts this Landspeeder to the test on the streets of Tatooine. We have the Kenner logo down below and the call out on the top left corner letting you know that figure is included with this set, and this time we have the Vintage Collection logo in the bottom left corner. So all in all, some wonderful packaging, and this is going to make a fine addition to my collection in terms of vehicle boxes. Moving on to the contents of the box, you have the classic cardboard tray which slides out and has everything nice and safe. Here you have your carded figure, which is nicely kept there and has no damage to it, so very nice and minty. And then if you remove the top cardboard tray there, you have the Landspeeder, which looks to be protected with some plastic so that the window doesn't get all scuffed up. And then you have additional stuff that's kept into the tray here for the top of the Landspeeder. Taking a look at the vintage style packaging for the included figure, we have the Star Wars logo and racetrack looking absolutely wonderful up top, followed by Luke Skywalker Tatooine on an orange name pill color. We have a wonderful image of Luke here with his Landspeeder and the Kenner logo down below, and then we have the Hildebrandt one in the top right corner. Then, of course, we have this wonderful figure with a number of accessories on a bubble. On the back, he is VC344A, Luke Skywalker Tatooine, and we have a small description of the character, followed by the Vintage Collection logo and additional images of the card and figure. So all in all, this will make a fine addition to my Luke Skywalker carded collection, and it's nice to finally get this version of Luke with all these different accessories into the line. Taking a look at Luke out of the packaging and focusing on the photoreal portrait, Hasbro has once again done a pretty decent job here with this figure. Now this is a repack, retool of the previous A New Hope Luke that came out not too long ago, and as you can see they are very similar, but I will say this deluxe version has a couple nice updates to the photoreal and stuff in general. So taking a look at the previous Luke, he kind of looks like he's a little bit of a deer in a headlight thing going on. His eyes are just like a little too bright and pronounced or something like that, and they've kind of taken that down on this new deluxe version. So I think that's a nice upgrade. And then if you take a look at the hair, I can't really tell, but it seems like there's a couple more paint applications in it. Something about it looks a little dirtier, and it also looks like they've done something to help highlight some of those like nice accent on his hair to make it look a little bit more dirty blonde. So that is nice to see because I know that was kind of a complaint from some people, and yeah, just overall it does look a little better. So that is a nice upgrade, and yeah, this previous one's pretty good, but you know, it's always nice to see a little bit of an improvement. Now, something I did want to talk about is this belt, because I am not the biggest fan of it now. So in theory, I thought it was a great idea to get all those accessories out there. Love that. But I've got to say, Hasbro, you made this really frustrating for me. Now, all these things clip into a couple holes on his belt, and that is great. What's not great is they used a gummy plastic for his device here for the restraining bolt on the droids, and then the pouch. Both of those are made of a soft plastic. The binoculars are not. This is a hard plastic item, which makes it easier to peg into a soft plastic belt. The other stuff was so frustrating to get in there, and I gotta tell you, Hasbro, that took me a while, and I'm pretty decent when it comes to action figures and posing and all sorts of stuff, and yeah, that was really challenging. I eventually got it in, and I gotta tell you, I'm not taking it out because I don't want to deal with that again. But yeah, great in theory, but I'm not sure if that was executed all that well. They really should have just made every, accessory out of hard plastic, and I think that would have been a lot more successful. Moving on to the rest of the figure and the articulation, we have to take a look at one last thing, and it is the paint applications that have been added to the boots. Here you can see they're nice and dirtied up, just like you would see in A New Hope, and if we bring in that previous figure, you can see that there is a drastic difference there. And that was definitely a bit of a problem for some people, so it's nice that they went back and, added that for this release. But moving on to the articulation, Luke has everything you want to see on a modern 3.75 Star Wars action figure. He's got those wonderful barbell hips that we see on all of our figures, so he can do some great wide stances. He's got a swivel at the thigh, a hinge at the knee, and then rocker ankles. So he will definitely be able to do some great posing on your shelf displays. Moving on to the upper part of the body, he's got a great torso crunch here. He can go 360 degrees. He can lean quite far back and forward, which is kind of nice. He's got hinges at the shoulders, elbows, and then he also has hinges at the wrist, which will be very helpful when he engages with the rifle or any type of blaster or something like that. So that is great to see. Then if you go on to the head, it's got a little bit of articulation going on. It's on a barbell system. You can kind of look down, but not too far up. And yeah, that's just a limitation, unfortunately, with some of these figures. But taking a look at the rest, we have some, wonderful sculpting and detail there. And another upgrade that's been added to this is the soft goods on the lower part of his tunic. The previous version has soft plastic, but this will allow him to sit in the Landspeeder quite well. The other one's pretty good. I don't think he really had sitting problems, but obviously this is going to make it a lot easier. So nice to see. But I do think that, the mixture of soft goods and plastic sometimes looks good and sometimes doesn't. It's not selling me 100% here, but overall it does look pretty decent. And here you can see Luke with all the accessories set up in a sniper position. And while I could achieve this pose, I gotta say that it also would have been nice if he actually came with a hand that had a trigger finger. You can definitely achieve this, but it was a little tricky to keep his rifle in his hand because the trigger finger is not there to kind of like hold it in place with that trigger. And yeah, just a little bit frustrating, and it would be nice to actually get Luke with a trigger finger because we haven't gotten this version of New Hope Luke with that like kind of hand or accessory yet, which is a little perplexing. But overall, he does look rather fantastic here with all the different accessories and all that stuff. Taking a look at Deluxe Luke with all the different accessories compared to my Kit Bash version, which is really the newest figure with all the different accessories that were released over the year, you can see that this new Luke actually looks a lot better in my opinion. Taking a look at his bucket hat, you can see some nice paint applications there on the goggles, and just overall, I think it's a better sculpt, and it does look like it fits him a lot better. Also, the poncho, I must say, is actually much more impressive. I didn't think it would be drastically different, and I just think it fits Luke a lot better. I also like the color more, and yeah, even the binocs are better proportioned. Just take a look at those. The previous ones are pretty decent, but they look a little big now that I'm like comparing the two figures. So really nice that we're actually getting upgrades to all these accessories and getting them into our collection. So this will definitely be a nice thing to display on your shelf. Moving on to the Landspeeder itself, we need to fully assemble it, and it's actually really simple. You have this one top piece right here that simply clips in like so. So there you have it, the Landspeeder fully assembled, and then let's take a look at some stuff we have going on here. First, most notably, this really cool detail to pop open the hood and take a look at all these engine parts. As somebody who loves photography and also just world build in general, this is really nice to see. Lots of great detail in there. Maybe could be a little dirtier, but nice to see some paint applications and it's not just one solid color. That would definitely have been a little bit of a bummer. And then taking a look at the front of this thing real quick, you can see some really nice detail here in terms of the weathering, the damage on the front, and just like all these streaks from kind of like the dirt and like runoff that are brushing up against this thing as, it flies around Tatooine. So really cool to see that. Taking a look over here, we have some really nice sculpting and detail as well in terms of like, you know, the gears and all kind of mechanics that are going on in here. And you also see some really nice paint applications on these wires and stuff. So it's not just one solid color. Once again, see a little bit of scuffing here or like paint damage, which is nice to see that kind of paint application, which kind of runs throughout the Landspeeder itself. Got that really nice grill detail down here that's got not really weathering on the front. It's just one solid silver color, but still looks the part. And then you got some nice like engine like heat damage in there and stuff, so that looks really cool as well. Then you got the vent going on here in the front, really nice detail. Let's see the back of that, just pretty much a solid engine piece. Then you got some really nice detail here as well. Really fantastic sculpting, very fine details. So they're really capturing a lot of stuff when it comes to this Landspeeder. Taking a look at the other side, you got this really bad scrape mark here, which is kind of impressive. It's actually got some texture to it, so that's pretty cool. And then they, of course, hit it with like the silver. Taking a look at the other side, more of the same going on here. And then if we take a look at the interior real quick, you can see some really nice detail there in terms of that like console and some of the paint applications and stuff. You got the steering wheel, and then we have this I guess not really a joystick, but like, I don't know, this lever that pretty much makes the wheels retract and go out. So pretty cool there as well. And then of course you have the clip here, which you can then put the rifle into. So that is also pretty neat. Let's see. Yep. And you can just clip that in like so. So all in all, pretty simple vehicle, but kind of a nice upgrade. And one thing I need to point out actually is this that's been added. So the previous versions did not have this well here, so you couldn't actually get C-3PO to sit in there with his legs, which is accurate to the movie. So nice that they were able to go back, tool something new, and get that detail in there. And actually, I do want to take a look at this right here. I think that's some really nice detail as well. Got some more paint applications here for those wires and just very intricate detail going on. And yeah, overall they put a lot of thought and like, you know, sculpting into this thing, and yeah, I think it looks pretty decent. But before we move on to loading this thing up with some figures, we actually need to take a quick comparison of the previous model. So this is the one from the Saga collection, which was later put into the Vintage collection, which they pretty much gave it a repaint and was much more orange, to be honest. And I personally didn't think it looked great, so that's why I never really updated it. And yeah, I just always have kind of rolled with this one. You can already see that there is much better detail going on. Like, it's very similar because obviously it is the same vehicle, but I think they put a lot of thought into some stuff. Like, just take a look at this engine piece right here. While the old one had some sculpting on there, I think the new one looks a lot better. Just like the paint scuffing and stuff looks better as well. And then, yeah, I mean, this one doesn't have that hood that opens, so that's definitely a bummer. It has a scrape mark here, which I've never even paid attention to, but I don't think the paint application there looks all that great. Kind of looks like they actually, like Luke painted this to like cover it up or something. Wow, this one actually looks like they ran over something and it like messed up their Landspeeder. And then yeah, there's just like not as much sculpting and stuff going on. Like, taking a look at the interiors, they're very similar, but yeah, this one still looks pretty plain. Like, you don't have any of that detail in the middle console here while you have that. So that's also a bit of a shame. But like I said, it's nice to get a modern definitive update to this vehicle. And let's get some figures in here and see what it looks like all set up. And here we have the Landspeeder filled with a number of different figures. Of course, we have the Deluxe Luke, but we also have C-3PO and Ben Kenobi from the Legacy Collection. And then we have R2-D2 back there from the latest Vintage Collection release. And you can see C-3PO sits quite nicely back there in that well. So that is really cool to finally have that feature. And yeah, I think this just looks great. As you can see, they both fit in there quite well. But I will say that Luke is still not able to really hold on to that steering wheel too well. It's just a little too far forward. I wish they would have extended it just a little bit to make that easier. He can hold it, but you'll have to make him kind of hunch forward, and that's just not ideal. Also, R2-D2 is not super secure here, but regardless, I think this looks really nice, and it is a great addition to the collection and a nice addition to the Return to Tatooine theme. The Landspeeder is an excellent and welcome update for the Vintage Collection, and a must-have for any new fan who's getting into 375 Star Wars collecting. With updates to characters like Luke Skywalker and soon-to-be Ben Kenobi, this is a must-have for any shelf display. My only critiques with this release is the fact that Luke Skywalker comes with soft plastic accessories, which are a little bit difficult to clip into his belt, and then the Landspeeder has a steering wheel, which is still a little too short in my opinion. but overall this is an excellent addition to the Vintage Collection's vehicle lineup. I hope you've enjoyed this video and taking a look at this latest addition to the Vintage Collection's vehicle lineup, the Landspeeder and Deluxe Luke Skywalker Tatooine from Star Wars A New Hope. Feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. And don't forget to drop a like on this video and subscribe if you're new to the channel. It really helps and is always greatly appreciated. Thanks everyone, and may the Force be with you.